morning, 8th grade. Welcome to day 2 of week 10. Today is May 27th, and we are going to continue with our review of volume of different prisms. So I'm going to click on our classwork tab. We'll go down to week 10, day 2, and you'll see you have your lesson here for today. So with the lesson, there's also a video to also walk you through how to find the volume of a cylinder. That's what we're looking at today. In the lesson directions, I mentioned that you must use a scientific calculator, which could be found on the link, which is provided here, or on your phone for calculations with pi. We do not use 3.14 for pi. If you remember that from earlier in the year, we move away from that because it's too much of an approximation. So if you want to use your phone, you can. If you have an iPhone, if you turn it horizontally, which means like long ways, I can't show you because I'm using my phone right now to make the video, but if you turn it long ways, you'll see that there's a pi key right next to the key that says rand. It's close to the bottom. And if you don't have an iPhone or can't find your pi key on your phone, you can just click on this link and it's going to bring you to this pi calculator, okay? And you'll see that the pi is right here for you to use for your calculations. So I'm going to model using this since I can't show you my phone, but like I said, if you have an iPhone and you want to just turn it horizontally when you go to your calculator, the pi key is located next to the key that's called rand, okay? So if I go back here, this is your lesson, click on it. Okay, so we have our learning target is the same. We're still focusing on reviewing and preparing for geometry by finding the volume of different prisms. Our warm-up, we are given the volume of this rectangular prism, and then we're also given a few other dimensions in the diagram, and it looks like we are missing our width. So we focused on finding these dimensions at the end of yesterday's lesson. Let me see, I'm going to scroll. There we go. So again, first thing you want to do is identify what information were you given. So we were given the volume, which was in cubic centimeters. We were given the length, which is up here, your 20 centimeters. And we weren't given the width, but we were given the height, how tall it was, which was 8. So what we did was we plug in the information we had, so V equals 960, the length was 20 times W, which we don't know, times 8 is the height. Simplify, we just simply do 20 times 8 to get 160. And then we have a one-step equation where we simply just divide by 160 on both sides. We get a width of 6, and our units would be singular because it's only a dimension. Remember, when we find dimensions, it's singular units. When we find volume, that's when you put it to the third. Okay, so a quick review from yesterday. As mentioned earlier, we're going to focus on the cylinder. So when we think about a cylinder, the top and the bottom of a cylinder are a circle. So we just have a quick review of your prior knowledge about what you know about a circle. There's different parts of the circle. We know there's a center, right in the middle of the circle. We have a radius, which is the distance from the center to any side of the circle. All radiuses of a circle are equal in measure. And then we also have our diameter, which is the length of the line that crosses from one side of a circle through the center to another side of the circle, okay? A diameter is equal to 2 radiuses, and 2 times the radius would give you your diameter, okay? So this was actually from when we did circles before, just a reminder of how to move from diameter to radius and radius to diameter. So I just have a couple of examples here. That's the model that you see in the picture. For example, if our diameter was 300, then the radius would be half of that. So our radius, if our diameter is 300, would be 150. Okay? And then the reverse, if we were given a radius of 10, our diameter would be double that because 2 radiuses equal a diameter. So if the radius is 10, then that means our diameter would be 20. Okay, so quick review. You guys also saw this in 7th grade, so it should be pretty familiar to just work from going from diameter to radius and radius to diameter. There's your answer key for the practice ones. Okay, so given a cylinder, we know that there are 2 circular bases and they are the same size. To find the volume, we're going to find the area of the circle that is its base and then multiply it by the height. To find the area of a circle, we use the area formula, pi r squared, and then like I mentioned, we're going to then multiply it by the height. So here's the formula we'll be using for the rest of the lesson. Notice again, it's stated here, do not use 3.14 for pi. We're going to use that pi calculator I mentioned earlier. Radius is going to be half the circle's diameter. We raise that to the second power. And height will be the distance from one base to the other base. So from the bottom of your cylinder to the top. Okay? Here is, oh perfect, here's a picture of what your iPhone looks like. If you turn it horizontally, I circled where you can locate that pi. See how it's next to the rand key? So you can use that for pi in your calculations if you need to, or you just can click on the link. It's provided in the lesson. You just click on that and it will bring you to the screen I showed you here. Okay? Let me keep going. All right, so our first problem for volume. So we are given a cylinder that looks like this, and the first thing you want to do is identify what you are provided. So I noticed that up top, on the top of my cylinder, my base on top, I'm given a radius because it's going from the center to one side of the circle. So I'm going to write that down. We are given a radius of 3. And it's inches. Okay, this would be our height going from one base to the other. So our height is 6 inches. And we are looking for the volume. Okay, so once you have all that information, then you're just going to plug it into the formula. So I'll rewrite that here. V equals pi r squared times the height. We're going to plug in what we know. So V equals pi times our radius is 3 to the second power times our height, which is 6. Okay, now order of operations, we know we have to do exponents first. So we're going to simplify that to begin with. So 3 to the second power would give us V equals pi times 9 times 6. Okay, exponents first. Then we can do this multiplication because we can do that in our head and just keep simplifying from there. So I'm going to rewrite that as V equals pi times 54. Now, using the commutative property, we can rewrite this and just switch the order of these, which I'm going to do, because if we write it in that format, which would be 54 times pi, then this is our answer in terms of pi. If you guys remember hearing that when we did volume earlier on in the year, in terms of pi. Sometimes the question asks you for the answer in terms of pi, and that's where you would stop. You would leave your answer as 54 pi. But in this particular question, we're going to round to the nearest tenth, so we have to do this multiplication. Now, remember what I said. We are not going to use 3.14 for pi. We're going to do the calculation using the pi either in your phone calculator or the app, the website that I provided. So I'm going to click there so you guys could see me doing it. So we're going to put in 54 times, let's find the times, right here in blue, and then I'm going to click the pi key, and then we press enter, calculate, and you'll see it's going to like produce this like notebook looking thing. Hopefully it goes, come on, try again. Okay. All right, let me try to get this on Google Chrome because sometimes my Safari doesn't like to work. So let's try it here. Let's see if that works. Oh, maybe my internet just slowed down. Okay. Okay, well, trust me, it does work. I promise it does. We already tested it out, but I will use my calculator for now just to show you because I'm already recording, so I don't want to waste any more time. So 54 times pi, and we would get 169.64600. Okay, so let me write that down. So V equals 169.64600 64600 dot dot dot. There it goes. Okay, so here is my calculator on the website. Okay, so same thing I just got on my calculator. And then the only other thing we're going to have to do is round to the nearest tenth. So we would then take that 4 that's in the hundredths place. It tells us to keep 6 there in our tenths place. So my final answer will be V equals 169.6. And remember, we're volume, so it's going to be our units, which was inches cubed. Okay? So I feel like this should be pretty familiar to you guys because we did do volume before. We're going to keep going in the lesson. I just realized I didn't grab my eraser, so I'm going to grab that real quick. Let's see. There's my cat. Okay. All right, so if we keep going on in the lesson, there's another example for you to try here. I'm actually going to skip this one because it's very similar to the one we just did together. Answers on the following slide. Here, I just want to bring your attention to sometimes they're going to give you a little bit different of a picture. So looking at this picture, you should notice that something is different than the example we just did before. And the difference is we are given a diameter. We're not given a radius. So we have to take that understanding that we just reviewed before, which is if we're given a diameter, we just can divide by 2 to get the radius because we need radius when we're finding volume because that's what's in the formula. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to recreate this picture. Okay, so our height is 5 meters and our diameter is 6 meters. Okay, so let's write that down. So we know we're going to use this formula, V equals pi r squared times the height, right? We know that we have a height of 5 meters, and we also have a diameter of 6 meters. But I'm going to write what that would be as a radius. So since our diameter is 6, I know that our radius would be 3 because half of the diameter equals a radius. Okay, and we are looking for the volume. So let's plug in our information. So I'll rewrite the formula. Pi r squared times the height. Okay, plug in what we know. So V equals pi times, my radius is 3, so 3 squared times, oh, look at me, I'm writing H again, times 5 because we have our height. Okay, so again, order of operations, we're going to do exponents first. I wish that our radius was a different number, but that's okay. So 3 to the second power will give us 9 times 5. Again, I'm going to do this multiplication because I could do that in my head. So we'll get pi times 45. Let's rewrite that using the commutative property so it looks in proper terms of pi. So this would be 45 pi. This is our answer in terms of pi, right? But again, they want us to solve it rounding to the nearest tenth. So I'm going to go back to my calculator and hopefully it works better this time. We'll put in 45 times pi, press calculate, and there it is. Okay, see, we get our answer right there. So I'm going to write that down on my board. So we get V equals 141.37166 and so on. Okay, and then if we're rounding to the nearest tenth, the 7 in the hundredths place tells me what to do. We are going to have to round that 3 up by 1. So my final answer will be 141.4, and our units were meters, so meters cubed. Okay, so quick review of how to find your volume of the cylinder. There is another problem for you to practice given the diameter as well. Okay, and then there's 2, I think, additional problems for you to try again. Yeah, 2 to try on your own, rounding to the nearest tenth. answers on the following slide, and then you have your exit ticket. So I'll X out of this to show you where that is. Okay, so here's your exit ticket. There's one thing I just wanted to go over before I wrap this up with you. So you're going to have 6 questions here, finding the volume of the cylinder. Be mindful that some of them might be giving you a diameter instead of the radius. So remember to just split that into 2 before solving, because you need a radius, not a diameter, to find the volume. The 7th question is a challenge question, and you'll notice that it's not on the form. All you need to put on the form is the answer to the challenge question. So where is the challenge question? It is located underneath your week 10, day 2 classwork tab right here. Okay, the challenge question, we need to see the work that you did to complete it. So it's on a Google Doc. So the work for the challenge question will go here, and you can either complete it digitally. I know some of you prefer to just type in your answer and submit, which is fine. Some of you prefer to take a picture of your work in your notebook. Some of you have the capability to print it and can send me a picture of that. Whatever works best for you is fine, but the work needs to be provided here, and then on the form, all you're doing is putting what your answer is. So if your answer was 100, you would put 100 here. And the doc is where your work will be shown. Okay, so this is only for the challenge question. The other questions, you do your own work on your own. You're just gonna answer the questions 1 through 6. They're multiple choice. But for number 7, you have to put your solution in and then show your work on the Google Doc. Okay, I hope that was clear. If anyone has any other questions, feel free to reach out to me. I hope you're all doing well, and I miss you.